He threw one high. We won that game off a wild bitch.
7-0 in the third, and there I go.
Okay, yeah. What trap song get you in your mood?
So he does his little trap to me, and I was like, oh boy.
Coming out of high school, man, a lot of dudes don't understand like how tough it really is.
I'll take my odds any day of the week.
Say that again.
I'll take my odds any day of the week.
Talk your shit, bro. Welcome back to the 2% Podcast. I'm your host, Kiambu Finches. Man, we got another good one for you guys today. Let me introduce this brother right. Okay, we got nicknamed the Big Ragu. Okay, yeah, from Tennessee, went to University of Tennessee, the Vols. Give a pause on that. Okay, all SEC as a freshman and junior. You know, out of college, ranked the 23rd best offensive lineman. Went to the 2009 NFL Combine. Ended up signing with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Played 11 years in the NFL as a vet right there, okay? Played in the Super Bowl in his second season. Come on now, against the Green Bay Packers, Super Bowl 45, for those who wondering. Ended up retiring in 2020. Radio show host, Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Got his own podcast, Ramon Foster Show. He's a husband, father, brother, and he the Noops.
Hey,
shout out to the Cavs, Ramon Foster. What's up, brother?
What's going on, man?
Yeah, did I miss anything, dog?
You did not, man. I'm glad also you hit the 11 years because they'll say 29, 2009 to
10.
19. That's 10. You got to count that 9 year.
Come on now.
Absolutely, I appreciate that.
Yeah, brother. Man, so crazy enough, I didn't even know that Ron Slay was your brother until maybe like 2 weeks ago.
Did you?
I did not know, man. Like, that's a stacked family of athletes.
It is.
Like, stack. So at the end of each episode, we asked the guest to leave a question for the next guest. And I didn't tell him that you was coming on. And so, but the question that he asked is that if you weren't a part of the 2%, meaning only 2% of high school athletes make it to Division I, if you weren't part of the 2%, what would you be doing? What would your life look like if you didn't play a college sport?
Oh, man.
At your level.
That's how we're starting it off.
That's how we gonna start it off, brother.
If I wasn't a college athlete, scholarship, everything that follows, what would I be? Just looking at the statistic of my hometown, I'd probably be close to it. Probably be somewhere around it. I will say I always had the aspirations and ambitions to do something more than just be from a small town. I'm from a small town, lived in Henning, Tennessee, went to high school at Ripley High School, Lauderdale County, West Tennessee. I always wanted more. Maybe that's the second child in me, middle child stuff that I dealt with too. But I always wanted more. And that was my thing, was I got to find something, some way to get out. And football was that. But had it not been for football, I'm a grinder naturally. Yeah. Always looking for satisfaction in life. I'd have sought something outside my city. Okay. Whether that would have been Nashville, Atlanta, or Kentucky somewhere, I'd have gone somewhere. What job would it have been? I can't tell you, because here's the sick thing about it. I had one goal. I was dumb enough to believe I was going to attain it, but it was to go to college and play football. I had no other real plan other than going to college, and that's kind of sad. Don't listen to that. You know what I'm saying?
It. Plan A.
Yeah, that was plan A.
Yeah.
And even when I went undrafted, I didn't have a plan B then either. Coming out in 2009, I thought I was going to get drafted. I had third round to fifth round grades. I had fifth round to seventh round grades when I ended up being undrafted. And to tell you I had a second plan, I didn't, even as an undrafted guy. That sounds sick to say.
Nah, it's real.
But Ron is wrong for leaving me with that.
Yeah.
Initially, first thing I can think of, I like driving. Truck driving. Yeah. Transport or something like that.
Okay.
But definitely outside of where I was being raised at.
So you wouldn't be in this social media space that you're in now, and speaking, hosting, and doing shows and whatnot?
Probably wouldn't, because
your athletics led you to.
Allowed that. Yeah, 100%. I'd have been outside. I think they say most people don't move with more than 50 miles outside of where they're born. I was determined to move outside 50 miles where I was born. As to what though?
We don't know.
I don't know.
We don't know. Okay, that's cool, man. Is there what's your earliest or just a childhood sports memory that sticks out to you that plays a role into who you are today / what got you to college? Is there childhood sports, high school, people, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I do. I have. I don't tell it often. I've said it on my show here in Nashville.
Okay.
It was my junior year, going into my junior year in high school, and I'm fire hot as an athlete. My brother's gone, Renardo, Ron Slay, and our brothers. I have another brother that I was raised with, same mom and dad as Ron. Well, same dad as Ron, Renardo. So he was going to college. He went to college at Louisville. So now I'm a junior. He had just graduated as a senior, so I'm a big man on campus is what I'm thinking. Scholarships are starting to come in. I'm going on these recruiting visits and stuff like that. And I was also senior class president. Well, I was in student council and all those types of activities and stuff. So I was a smart kid, beta club, everything. But when you start to become big man on campus, a lot of stuff changes. Girls involvement,
everything.
Popularity involvement.
Smelling yourself.
A little bit, you know. And I got reminded of that. I'm in my trigonometry class, my junior year. Trig, of course. And my math teacher, Miss Martha Webb, I think I just made up 71. Barely got by. Wasn't a barely get by type of kid. But that junior year, I'd really start to play the game. You know what I'm saying? And I never forget, it was a Friday. And I think I didn't bomb a test, but I didn't do as good as I should have because she laid it all out for us. And she pulled me to the side after class. And she went, Ramon, I don't care what type of football or sport you play. I don't care where you go to school. I don't care how you go about life. I don't care about none of that if you can't do well in your grades. She's like, because you're going to live life way longer than you do play football. And because of that, I can't let you. And I was livid.
You didn't like that.
On game day? Miss Webb, come, you see the stuff that I do on the field. And I was so mad. I had a really good game that night. And that always stuck to me to where it was, and that's why I always try to tell young athletes too. You're going to live and do life more than you do in your professional sports. The average in the NFL is, I think it's 3.2, maybe less than that now. I think 2.6. 2.5 years is basically what the average career is. And to have that reality told to you as a high schooler, you like, man, screw this. But in all actuality, that stuck with me. That's something that I pass on to my boys. It's something I pass on to any kid I feel like has that potential to do that type of thing. First question I'm going to ask any of them, how your grades? Because that's what's going to matter most. Making it to the NFL, NBA, those type of high leagues, it's not guaranteed. You have a stronger percentage, I think, of hitting the lottery, I feel like, in some situations before making it to the major leagues, right? And that's why I always ask that question, because the fact that you get challenged like that make you want to be better. And it's always something I reflect back on as to why I'm in this situation, being able to speak, have a public job, be on the social space and stuff like that. It's because of that conversation. Be more than what they think you are.
100%. Man, so you end up committing to University of Tennessee to play football. What went into that decision from all the other schools that you could have gone to? Like, what made you want to pick that nasty orange and white?
Feel a little biased in there, right? What made me, man? Because I'm from Tennessee.
Okay.
And that to me was my tier 1 offer.
Okay.
I had Arkansas, Ole Miss, Louisville, where my brother was, Kentucky, a lot of SEC schools and ACC conference, all of those. Tennessee was my tier 1.
Okay.
Being from the state, of course, there's a lot of orange around. And it was also a situation, so I don't know if I ever told my brother this, Renardo that went to Louisville. I was just like, well, he didn't get the offer, but I did. In a competition spirit.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And to be real, he was a better athlete than me. Hands down was a better. I think all my recruiting because of what he also had too. You know, it's always what little bro gonna do.
Yeah.
And I was 18 months younger than him. 2 grades behind him, I ended up getting a Tennessee offer, and that played a part in it. And I've always told you, I could have went to Ole Miss, Arkansas, all those southeastern schools. but Tennessee was also 6 hours away. That played a factor in it also for me too. Being a second child, middle child for me this is my opportunity to grow as an adult, good or bad. Yeah. Okay, good or bad. And I needed to see what life on my own was going to be like. 6 hours was long enough that I didn't have a car, but I also couldn't just get on a bus to go home, and they couldn't pop up on me. So I somewhat wanted to embrace what struggle was, what figuring life out was too. And at the time, Tennessee was winning big too, and playing for Coach Fulmer played a factor in that. My primary recruiting coach was Coach Pat Washington. I still keep in contact with him to this day. Just built the relationship, and they delivered on everything they said they was going to do in my pre-recruiting, which was huge.
That's rare. It can be rare. Because they would say what they need to say to get you on campus, show you all the bells and whistles. Or you're going to get this, you're going to get that, show you the training table and all the bell, just everything. Yeah. And like, okay, cool. And then you get there. Not my experience, but I've heard stories.
I've heard that too.
That it can, dang, dog, you done flipped on me. Yeah. You said what I thought it was.
And that's also the situation too. I try to warn parents about that. It's like, no, ask those hard questions. Like, be in a space to where maybe the coach gets uncomfortable with his lies. You know what I'm saying? Like, put that back on them.
Put them on the hot seat.
Yeah, exactly. Put them on the hot seat. But they delivered. Coach Fulmer did on everything that he said he was going to do as far as opportunity, growth, treating me like one of his kids. And mind you, I was a 3-star. So it wasn't like I was a 5-star coming out of high school. It was just the culture. The coach was good. And the ability to play, too. So that played a factor in it.
What did you see from Coach Fulmer from a leadership perspective that you either observed or he actually just said, anything like that?
The desire to win, having a standard about coaching is what he had. I think a lot of coaches, to your point a second ago, want to appease to the kid, which you have to in this era of NIL and portal. You got to play their game just a little bit. But his willingness to win and having a standard about it, I thought was what resonated the most with me. And I think in the position that I was as a 3-star, as a lineman too, we're naturally grinders, I guess kind of like the catchers. Yeah. And baseball, right? You're naturally grinders. And that's something that he really put upon us, that if you grind hard, work hard enough, then you're going to get your shot. And I think that's genuinely all that you're really guaranteed in college, whether it be your first year or your second year. Either prove that you're capable of taking that shot later as a sophomore, junior, or you get it in your freshman year. And that's one thing that I saw. We had freshmen play and start early on, and that just fueled my fire even more too. It didn't matter which star you was when you got on campus.
It don't matter at all.
I saw 4 stars not play in my class. I saw guys who were highly touted not play. Then I see a guy like Inky Johnson, who's a 2-star that played as a freshman. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we talked before we came on. It's like when you get on campus, you just a dude. And that's how we treated us.
Man, I look at those stars like you got to show me. You got to prove it to me.
Yeah.
When them lights come on, let me see.
Because you might have been a big fish in a small pond.
Come on now.
That's what a lot of guys don't realize. Like when you looking and breaking down what college you're going to go to, where do I actually fit matters. What is the coach's message? Is it the same across the board? And it was for Coach Fulmer at Tennessee. And of course, I came up in the era where rivals got big. These recruiting services got bigger, and the stars meant more. So you play guys earlier, sooner than you needed to. But the ability to make players prove it, which was so pure with Coach Fulmer under that time, that like I was there. I love that. Yeah. I'm with you. Prove me that you're that good if I've heard about you.
Facts. I mean, what was your welcome to SEC football moment? On the field, either in game or in practice, locker room, team meeting, anything. Welcome to SEC.
It was a couple of moments. I'll never forget. Here I was practicing. I'm a tackle coming out of high school. And I never forget, first couple of days in training camp, I'm thinking, I'm in the SEC. I got what it takes. I know I'm young, but I can hold my own. When I tell you those college DNs just ran past me and I couldn't even touch them, that was just like, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
This is feet
glue. Yeah.
Hands, smarts. Like I'm looking at this dude like, he's already like ripped, like he's yoked up already, like seeing the differences in body, because that dude's a sophomore or redshirt sophomore. He's been there for 3 years, and just the speed and tenacity that you had to play with.
Yeah.
Realizing that they were also the big fish. That to me was probably one of the bigger moments right there that, in my freshman year, that really just made me realize, okay, this is serious ball right now. And it was just the expectation too. I didn't realize at the time my redshirt freshman year, that my second year at Tennessee, was a guy that went down, Cody Douglas at left guard. And I needed to, I was a guy that had a great spring. So I was expected to step up. And in that, I messed up like 2 plays in a row. I'm talking about small stuff.
Yeah. And
Coach Foreman, my offensive line coach, just take off. And I was like, take off? He's like, yeah, run the entire field. I'm talking about practice field, the special teams field, the old offense field, the defense just
you want to hike?
Ran laps. I'm talking about laps. Yeah, hike.
Yeah, you want to hike.
By the time I got to number 3, the same dudes that was running past me on the one-on-ones was like, hey, Foster, how many he tell you to run? He ain't tell me a number. And at that moment, they said, oh, yeah, you must have really did something. But what it was he wanted me to prepare to start, to be the 6th guy as a redshirt freshman. And I didn't answer the call that day in practice. But I will say I did catch up, and I ended up starting opening game that year too.
It's crazy that it was the smallest thing, you said, a smallest of detail that you didn't execute that got that reaction. And I believe like in your mind, I think that helps the individual after that. It's okay, now I got to pay attention to these things, and that just makes you a better player altogether. It
was, and that was it was a small thing, I'm telling you. It wasn't like something crazy. It might have just barely missed the linebacker on the run play. It was something simple.
Yeah.
But that attention to detail I thought was huge, but it's also the challenge that I received. And truthfully, too, it set a precedent for what my career would be moving forward, even in the NFL. I just didn't realize that what that moment was, and him just telling me to take off, not giving me a number of laps, what that meant. And it held true even in the NFL at times. So,
Man, you mentioned Inky Johnson earlier, and he's today's world, he's one of the best speakers, to do it, in my opinion. He talks about that game where things went south for him against Air Force. That hit on the sideline, I believe. You as a player, like what was that like?
So Ink was my roommate. Ink was also my suite mate in college too. Our freshman year we stayed in Gibbs Hall. My room's right here, Inky's right there. We're on the same side of the suites. Inky and I, when we moved off campus, we moved into apartments together in Knoxville. That's my guy. He was in my wedding, I was in his wedding. Dang, so that's my dude. So in 2006 when that happened, one, he was already playing. I think Ink had got a grade back saying he might be a day 1 guy. That type of conversation, round 1 through 3 is what he's supposed to be. So he had grew as a player from 2004 all the way to 2006, just a guy. And we're all sitting back watching Ink like, our dog about to go. And when that hit happened, it honestly was just like a normal hit to us. Then he laid there. And I'll never forget him having to get carted out, putting a hand in the air and all that type of stuff. And just thinking, okay, well, he'll go to the hospital and everything will be fine. And lo and behold, it wasn't. We didn't realize after the game that they were actually saving his life as opposed to saving his career. And to have one of your friends go through something like that, super traumatic, you think to yourself, I'm sure you've had it in the sports too, see somebody either have a knee or elbow or something happens, get hit with the ball, whatever it is. And you think, God, how can I prevent this? And there's no prevention for it. What's for you is for you. And that's kind of what Inky kind of always relayed to us about his injury too. Being his roommate, watching him, after everything settles, he survives. He's coming back to the house that we're staying in, and just being in a spot to where life changes. He's no longer right-handed. You know what I'm saying? He's left. He now needs help with tying his shoes. You know what I'm saying? So he was driving. He pulled down. He had what did Ink have? I think a Cutlass from Atlanta. From Atlanta. You're going to have a car like that. Couldn't pull down the shifter. You know what I'm saying? Everything's left-handed now. And just the smallest little things of life, seeing him somewhat go through it as a friend, puts you in a different perspective. What I will say he did do for us, and I'll say for me, he kept working out. He never complained about it. We be doing summer drills in the indoor, and he used to take me off when I see guys cheating on stuff. I've always been that way. Like, we gonna work. We gotta work.
Come on.
I don't care what your talent is.
Yeah.
I don't care you run like, let's all work. And that somewhat started the demise of what my team was at Tennessee anyway, as far as wins and losses. Guys cutting corners. And I'm looking at Ink out here with his arm in the sleeve, doing box jumps, hitting the ground, getting up running. And he never wavered from the actual mission that he came to Tennessee for. And that's to be an athlete. Like, and I never forget, one of the last things I think I saw him do before we all left was he was talking about he was going to play. And I'm like, okay, my dog's coming back.
Yeah.
Not realizing his arm is paralyzed. Somehow he set his hand on the table. And I don't know if he moved his body or a nerve actually moved him, but he moved it slightly. And I was like, he coming back. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. He coming back. And that just drove me and just to be like, all right, he gonna play again. And he told me in that moment, I was like, big homie, I knew I wasn't gonna play no more. This is years later. I was like, dog, you remember that time? He's like, yeah, at that moment, I knew I wasn't gonna play no more. He said he couldn't let us know that he was done. And I think he probably was smart to do that.
Yeah, did that for y'all.
He did it for us, man. He did. But solid human being though, man. You love him.
Yeah, man. So playing in the SEC, brother, in them trenches.
Yeah.
In them trenches, that's everybody knows if you a dog, you go to the SEC.
True.
Okay. What was it like playing in the SEC in those trenches against those defensive linemen, those D tackles, those D ends, like those games?
I'll give you one in particular. We actually won this game in 2005, right after Katrina. But on that defensive line, LSU had Kyle Williams, went to Buffalo, had a double-digit career. Tyson Jackson was number 3 or number 2 overall in NFL draft. And they had Glenn Dorsey.
I know that.
All on the same defensive line. And mind you, I'm playing out of position at the time at left guard. I'm actually a natural tackle in college. I played guard in the NFL, but somebody got hurt and I had to go and fill the game, like finish the entirety of the game off. And playing against them dudes, one, it showed me 2 things. You know, you learn lessons. One, these dudes is real. Okay. LSU is different out here.
Different.
Okay.
They cut different.
I think most of them dudes is friggin' Louisiana too. So they're athletically just different. You know what I'm saying? There's 3, 4, 5 states. Florida, Louisiana, Texas, California, Georgia, South Carolina. I throw them in there too. But those dudes were dogs, and they were older players too. And just watching them and playing against them just gave me one validation: I can do this. Just give me another shot. I can play this. But it was just different, especially Kyle Williams. The ability to use his hands. I ain't ever had anybody just do that. Low to the ground, violent like a bulldog, man. And you be like, okay, I got to get stronger. I got to know what I'm up against, because I went in blind because I was in a reserve role at the time. But that was very, very real. Geno Atkins. And then at Florida, my later years, in like 2007, Carlos Dunlap. Watching a dude that's 6'5", 6'6", rush like a DB. Like, just different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. What's the mindset though? What's the mindset like? Especially for like the linemen.
For a lineman, fight every play.
Yeah.
Like, legitimately fight every play. If it boils down to you getting me one play, you're not gonna get me the next. Like, that was my mentality. Find out what your weakness was. Like, I was even big on film then. Because if I know what you're going to do, if I know your best move and I know your counter move, then we can, I used to call it, we can dance. After the dance starts, now it's on me not to lose, you know? And it was just fascinating to watch that level of talent, do it in the SEC, but also go to the NFL and do the exact same thing. Like Carlos Dunlap just retired, I think like 2 years ago, won a ring with the Kansas City Chiefs. And I played against him 2 times a year when he was in Cincinnati. So those same SEC guys, Geno Atkins, another one that I saw, Wallace Gilberry, just all them dudes. He's out of Mississippi State. Dudes that you legitimately played in college, you also saw in the NFL. So the trenches do mean more when it comes down to that level of play.
Yeah, 1,000%, man. Was the Vandy-Tennessee rivalry a thing then? I know, because the only person I know from Vandy back then is Jake Cutler. That's who I know. I'm sure it's others,
But
I can't remember.
He was the dude.
He was the dude.
Yeah. We didn't know what Vandy was with Jay until like legitimately playing him. Then you see why he was a first rounder. I tell a lot of folks, the quarterback is probably the most important position. And
Easy.
it is.
Easy.
Because it can change an entire organization or school. Like legitimately. Like Eli Manning at Ole Miss means a lot. What he did with them at that school. But Jay Cutler, the level of competition was just different with him. You see him throw. I remember I was a young guy. I think it might have been 05, 06. Just watching him just throw bombs down the sideline. Like not realizing like Vandy's supposed to look like this. Is it a rivalry? It can be.
Okay.
Do we consider it one? Not really. It's
What's about
just
then though?
back then, not really.
Nah. Okay.
I think I lost to Vandy twice. 05. Nah, just once. 05. And it stuck. I'm talking about it stuck big time. Yeah, nah. It was respect given, but it was the expectation that we were just gonna win too. And that can sound conceited and cocky.
No, that's real.
But
that's real.
I'll be honest with you too. I've been on the vouch for Vandy on my show as of late. Because here's the reason why.
Please explain.
Here's the reason why. It's the SEC.
Right.
Okay? You're in Nashville.
Correct.
This should be one of the hottest hotbeds of recruiting to introduce players to Nashville and what Vanderbilt's capable of.
Easily.
And it frustrates me because you go to Tuscaloosa. There's
Ain't nothing.
nothing. You go to the plains of Auburn. There's even in Athens, Georgia, there's nothing there. You got the hottest city in the SEC.
And if I'm being real, it ain't too much in Knoxville, brother. Besides that one strip that y'all got.
When the summer hit,
Yeah.
there's nothing going on. I 100% agree. Everybody else has a college town except for Austin now with Texas coming in.
Missouri, Kentucky,
I mean, what we talking about?
Nashville.
I enjoy it, and I don't want to lose that game between UT and Vandy on the basis of eventually it should get right. I don't know what the as far as like enrollment and stuff like that will do.
Yeah.
I think the last coach that did that really abused it. I think Franklin it was. He abused it, and they didn't do much from that afterwards. So standards are standards academically.
Yeah.
But if you want to compete in the SEC,
You gotta get them dogs, man.
I just don't need y'all fans coming at me when I start laughing that we beat y'all. That's all I'm saying, okay? Because I'm actually rooting for y'all to do something right.
Makes it fun too.
It does make it fun.
It's not fun when it's just the outcome.
Well, and that's why we celebrated so much 2 years back when Tennessee beat Alabama after all them years. When you can make it competitive in a rivalry, I think there should be more hate in sports. It make the hate better. You know?
Facts.
See, look at your face. See,
it brings something out of you.
Exactly. In sports and life now, I ain't gonna hate.
100%. Man, was there a game that you look forward to? Like the build up was good, the talk before the game was good. They might have got y'all the year before. What game was that you just look forward to?
In college?
In college.
It's three. It's a three-headed monster that we go through every year. Florida, I really look forward to because the athletes were different. And Urban Meyer was just fire hot. He was. They had a team of just monsters. So I enjoyed competing against those guys.
I forget about that team.
Come on. Like, seriously.
That team.
And I played with 3-4 of those dudes from that team. Marcus Gilbert played with Marquise Pouncey, played right beside both of those dudes, okay? Chris Rainey was a dude and ran into Aaron Hernandez is on that team. Joe Hayden was on that team, played with Joe also. And so Florida was a great measuring test.
I know it's obvious, but you just gotta say Tebow. Just gotta say, Just gotta say Tebow.
And Tebow too. As an offensive player, I used to see that jump pass coming and absolutely hated it. He was the magician of that run up and throw the ball. I'm like, how can y'all not see this? I see it coming a mile away. But Georgia, because we had a good back and forth with Georgia, I somewhat still slight Georgia, and it's for my own personal reasons. We could always beat Georgia. Now it's different, of course.
Yes.
But now it's different. And, of course, the emergence of what Bama turned into.
Yeah.
I didn't understand truthfully what it meant to beat Bama back then. like I do now. I'm sure you probably dealt with it some, or maybe not as much, but I watched other things other than sports for the most part. So understanding rivalries as a young guy was just different for me. I now understand why Alabama, the third weekend in October, I now understand what that means. So those are the three that we had to play every single year.
Man, who was some of the players, notable players on those Bama teams that you during that time?
That's the thing about them. They weren't this type of Bama.
Okay.
They had just got Nick Saban. Like they had, so his method of coaching and winning and expectation, that's what people fail to realize about what Alabama is they just turned into that in like 07. They had years of losing before then that a lot of their fan base wasn't their fan base then. You know what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of bandwagon that goes into what Bama turned into. And probably the greatest college coach of them all is Nick Saban. And you see why. I didn't see those Bama players. I saw good teams. Wallace Gilberry was one of those. He was actually a Bama guy, correction. A Bama guy back then. But as far as them having the Derrick Henrys and all of those types of dudes, that came post 07 when they turned into
I remember, I think Ingram was 09.
You see what I'm saying?
Julio was 08.
There we go.
You know, okay.
So it was a different Bama back then.
Okay. Yeah, man. You spoke on it a little bit already. Just not getting drafted, you know. So what was the mindset going into, you signed with the Steelers, what's the mindset going into rookie camp?
Survive, fight. I never forget, I had my son RJ 08. So I had a kid as a senior. Go to the combine. RJ also had open heart surgery too. As a kid, had this condition, tetralogy of Fallot. He basically had 4 chambers in your heart. One of his wasn't connecting, had a hole over it too. Man, shout out to the doctors that did his surgery. Did it actually at Vanderbilt Medical here in Nashville. And fine now. You never know. The doctors that did it, 0 leakage to minimum with him. And RJ's like 6'6" now, playing sports and stuff. So I had him at the time. Go to the combine. I'm training in Cincinnati. His open heart surgery was actually while I was training. Here, I'm in Cincinnati of all places. If there was one thing I could change, it would have been to not train in Cincinnati. Just because regionally, probably should have went to Florida, Texas.
Say, why did you go to Cincinnati?
My agent was there.
Okay. I'm going to say the hotbed is California, Florida.
No. I chose that because my agent was there.
Okay, got you.
And he had a surgery down here. I missed his open heart surgery, actually. And because it was a snowstorm. Kid from the South. We don't drive in the snow.
Nah.
So I had that. That happened in January. That happens. Go to the combine. Don't have a great combine. I tested bad. I'll be the first one to tell you. Just bad. Right before I'm about to run my 40, I catch a nosebleed. And I'm live. And I'm telling a dude who's also a Steeler guy at the time, like, I got a nosebleed. He's like, well, you're next up and you're live. You need to fix this. So I did that, didn't bench well, didn't do anything well at the combine. Turned back around, pro day come out at UT.
Yeah.
Catch the flu.
Damn.
101, 102 fever. So I couldn't back up what happened at the combine because of I had the flu, like legitimately had the flu. I'm talking about the day that they show up, that happens. So the draft happens. And I'm expecting probably 3, 4, 5, anywhere at that point. Never forget, I think it was the third day of the draft. I think it was when I had 3 days. I'm sitting there with RJ watching it. His mom's at work. And I broke down, just like crush. And I'm like, I got a kid. I gotta make it.
You gotta make it. You got a choice.
I gotta make it. We ain't make a bowl game that year or nothing. I'm like, we gotta make it. Heck, he didn't ask to be here. My kid at the time. And plus, I ended up getting my girlfriend, now my wife. She's pregnant. Like, golly, a lot of stacked on me. But in that moment, I went undrafted, last pick. And I'll never forget, just the monster was just like born. Like, we're going to make this work. Somehow, I don't know how, but we're going to make this work. I never forget, I'm training throughout the summer. And at the time, I had a 2002 Pontiac Bonneville.
I know the Bonneville.
With the tents, man. And I had some suits, I had some clothes, and I left Knoxville. And I told my child's mom, now my wife, I was like, I'll see you on the bye week.
Speaking it.
Dumb. Okay. That was probably the dumbest thing I've ever said in my life. But I'll tell anybody this, to make it in anything, you got to be silly enough, dumb enough, ignorant enough, just unrealistic to think you're going to be the one. And I know all that probably don't make sense, but in order to be that 2%, you got to be that crazy to think you're going to be the one as an undrafted.
Yeah.
What's weird is when I showed up to Pittsburgh, they actually, one of the main scouts told me, you know, we had a 3rd round grade on you. I'm like,
Wait,
what?
Why you tell me that now, bro?
What? You got me now, right? And it was the assistant O-line coach. You can make the squad. I'm like, why is everybody telling me this now? Like, what did y'all see now that you didn't see then? And when I retired, fast forward to that point, the scout at the time sent me my draft sheet at the bottom
Still
of
had it.
3rd round. What separated me was my 40 time. That was the separator. They actually ended up picking a guy at similar position as me. He had a faster 40 than me.
We won't get into that, but
yeah. But what was my mindset was fight, legitimate.
Fight, yeah.
I had Coach Tomlin tell me, he's like, you don't understand what your talent is. I was like, what you talking about? This is a little bit years later in the league. He was like, the same way people run fast, jump, can throw a ball, can make a tackle like crazy, bench 500 pounds. He's like, your talent is your mental toughness. It's like, what you mean? It's like, anytime we told you you couldn't do something or put something in front of you, you knocked it out. It's like, a lot of people don't realize mental toughness is also a talent. And that was my mindset going into that camp. I never forget one of the first few times we were in pads. I'm a rookie, and there was a D lineman that was drafted in the 6th round from Oregon. I had 73, he had 73. And just that survival of how it works in college, the coach was like, just so y'all know, this ain't college. We don't do double numbers around here. There's 173 that's going to last at the end of this. And let me tell you, we were roommates. He was 73D, I was 73O.
Nah.
And he made us go against each other and told us at the end of this, only one of y'all can last. And from that moment right there, Kiambu, it clicked like, oh, this is real. This is real. And I hate to say I dogged him out.
It's a business decision,
it
brother.
was. I got a kid.
It ain't personal.
It ain't personal. I dogged him out. We go right back to the dorms, play the video game,
Yeah,
chop
we cool.
it up, all of that.
Yeah.
Same thing the next day. And I never forget that aha moment, because everybody has that moment. We were going for a late night snack. Most teams have it in college. Don't matter where you at. You go to snack. Well, the way our training camp was, it steps all the way down, and then it steps all the way up. And on the other side of the steps up is the weight room. Coach Tomlin was in there working out. And he, big fella, come here. He called me Big Noop. Big Noop, come here. Go over, Coach, what's going on? I'm young and dumb, don't know nothing. He's, how you feel like you're doing? I think I'm doing pretty good. And he looked at me with them eyes. Have you ever seen any of his press conference? You are. And I went, oh, okay. Like, that's all I needed. From that moment on, man, it was all gas, no brakes. Yeah. All gas, no brakes. But that was my mentality was go fight. Show that you can prove. And that was one of the things that coaches told. If you can fight here and you got talent, we're going to make a way.
Man, that's good because the coach validating what you think you're doing, that does something to you mentally. Kind of just connects all the dots together. Okay, I am,
Yeah, and what's cold is he held true to it the same way that Coach Former did. So I've been blessed to have some good coaches. Coach Tomlin, I would probably put just up there because he coaches you, but he also gives you life lessons too. Just like you said, knowing when to give you validation, knowing when to challenge you, and just knowing how to make you a pro. He did something, I think it was the first day we were in pads. So I had a bad day. I got worked by some older dudes, and I think he did it on purpose. Pittsburgh just come off a Super Bowl the year before. Yeah. And mind you, I told you, I ain't really watched football like that. I'm too busy trying to make it to the league, right? And I end up going against some dudes with some Hall of Fame caliber guys, and I just got put in a blender. You know what happened that evening after practice? Because you always going to watch film.
What's that?
He put up a picture of me and had above it, "Don't take it." And here I am, a young rookie, undrafted.
Don't take it.
Don't take it. Because I got worked. And he showed every clip of me just being
This in front of everybody?
In front of
course.
everybody. That's one thing. He's a transparent coach.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he gonna tell you where you are. I'm thinking, why me? I'm the undrafted dude. Like, why you putting me up like this? And I was embarrassed. I was ticked off. And you know what he did the next day too? He came out there, hey, big fella, don't take it. He did that every single day for about 3 years until we found a new don't take it guy.
Every day.
Every day.
You know, probably in the moment, it's like, dang. Yeah. But they always say when the coach ain't talking to you.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
That's the problem right there. But that lit the flame. And then, of course, like I said, doubling back to where he walked out of the weight room and gave me that validation.
Yeah.
That took it over the top. And I'll never forget making that 53-man roster was by far one of the coolest moments from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was dope.
Man, rookie dinner. I know that's a big thing every year. Where did y'all go? Responsible for picking up the tab and like just how was that whole experience?
This was old NFL where you could do all this type of stuff before cameras, dog. Let me tell you, old guy set a budget of $20,000.
Okay.
$20,000. Okay. We went to dinner at Capitol Grill. We had to get them bottles of Cristal, Patron, and all the most expensive Louis the 13th. Okay. Had to not only just get it for him, but wrap it for him too. Sits in line, coach shows up, everybody getting steaks, wines, whatever they wanted. The way it broke down was the guy that was drafted in front of me, the second rounder. He ended up paying $12,000 because he got like $700,000 or something like that as a signing bonus. So he could pay the $12,000. I paid $6,000, and there was a dude that didn't make the roster as a 7-rounder, paid $2,000. So $20,000. We had a party, had like a sculpted ice lube and everything, just like for you can do shot.
Yeah,
it was insane. I ain't ever in my life had cut a check that big for $6,000. You want to talk about
hurt,
hurt,
and you from a small town, Tennessee? Come on,
exactly. Imagine you writing the check and this old head offensive line was like, all right, give me that young fella. I'm like, I don't get nothing but a meal. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But it was cool though. After that year, they did bring it in some though. Coach Tomlin wasn't having that no more.
Man, we'll stay on the subject of this Coach Tomlin, man. Just playing for a guy like that. Speak on just the culture he has cultivated in Pittsburgh, standards. Just what's it like around just the building every day and just the practices. Like, just speak on him.
He's very transparent.
Yeah.
For the ones that can handle it. Like I said, when it comes down to guys knowing who they are, you never have to question it. For instance, we had a year where Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders was on the same team. They were brought in together. And he used to put up in front of everybody, 2 dogs, 1 bone. Who gonna fight for? Emmanuel Sanders ended up winning it. And then AB got on. And it was a wrap from there. If some guys have an issue on special teams missing tackles, he gonna call you out and let you know, like, hey, this is happening. Here's your warning. Fix it. So you got 2 weeks to really fix it. Respond and fix it. He never lets players guess where they are. He gonna tell you. If you got an issue, come talk to me. We can settle this. He has this motto, the standard is a standard. And that's something I think he lives by. And there's also an expectation to it too. I've always seen him be fair to guys, but he'd always let you know this too. And I know you know this in the sports world, and it might not make sense to people. I'm gonna treat everybody fair, but not everybody the same.
Yeah.
That's a real thing, ain't it? And that's just the way he is. It's blue collar as heck. You gonna work and grind for it. We did a joint practice one year with the Buffalo Bills, and it was probably by far the most physical thing that they had ever experienced. Because we tackled to the ground. Everybody's live except for the quarterback. And they just looked at us and was just like, Kyle Williams was on the team from LSU.
Okay.
He was like, bro, what the hell are y'all doing here? But that's the mentality. And I'll say this, to be aware as a coach of what your standard is and how everybody else see you too, I'm sure at Vandy, right? When y'all show up to the field, a team may be 2-13, right? or 4-7 in the SEC play. But when y'all show up, you get the 18.
Oh, 1,000%.
What I learned as a player was whenever we go to somebody else's town or anytime they got us on their schedule, this is their correction week. So he made us practice hard. He made us go hard because of that type of stuff. Like I said, being self-aware. And I know the Super Bowl hadn't been there as of late, but to say this guy is a guy who can make you run through a wall for him, understanding that at any point in time, whatever you got going on, winning is all that matter. Like, however you win by 1 point, about 11 touchdowns, we just here to win.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I've always appreciated about him.
Man, is there a pregame speech, postgame speech that you remember by him, that kind of just inspired you, you got you going, motivated, or it just resonated with you on a certain level, like, okay, I like that?
It's a night of big games. Monday night, Sunday night, Thursday night, or just a big-time rivalry game, us against Baltimore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he also he throw a challenge out there again. He got a way of manipulating your mind a little bit. He's good at it, okay? I'm sure Coach Coleman's the same way to get you.
Hey, yeah, pulling those heartstrings a little bit, yeah.
So we sit in the night before meetings in the hotel we stay in, and he'd come in, man, we know what the task is for tomorrow. And if we're in Baltimore, ain't nobody in that stadium rooting for us. But this is an A matchup. It's an A type of game because we're in it. So he make it about us. And then he also go into the conversation of tomorrow's the type of game that if you think you're an A player, bring your A game. He don't say who you are.
Yeah.
But if you feel that you're an A player, play that type of game, right? And when you sit there and he gives a little bit more, and he was like, these types of games, we play our big game music. Phil Collins. The other night. He hit the lights. Don't say nothing. Just play the music. And we ain't got no big audio or nothing like that because we're in the hotel. It might just be a Beats Peel or something.
Yeah. And
he turned the lights down. If you're an A player, this is where our mind is tomorrow night. And just let that music play. And at the end of it, all right, man, see you at the stadium. And that just chills thinking about that.
You get me fired up right now, bro.
I'm telling you, man, like it was those moments, like the 1 o'clock games. Yeah, I love those.
Yeah.
But when he dim them lights and he tell you if you think you're an A player, bring that game, and just watching cats just do extra stuff. You know what I'm saying? Going to Cincinnati for a night game when Cincinnati was super hot.
Hey, brother.
And the battle between us was nasty. If you go back and look in that 2013 to 2015-16 Cincinnati, it should have been illegal. You know what I'm saying? But match that energy, man. Or those Baltimore games.
It's that type of time.
It's that type of time.
You got my hands sweating a little bit, bro.
But that's when you ask me what moments.
Yeah.
That right there, dog, is where he's at.
Man, crazy enough, you got your first start against the Baltimore Ravens. Your rookie season. Divisional rivalry.
On the road.
In Baltimore. Like, walk us through that time.
I'll never forget the first conversation I had was it was Justin Hartwig and Willie Colon. Willie was the dude that took me under his arm from New York, a Bronx guy. If you ever ran into one of them, they just boisterous, loud dudes. You feel me? Now. Confidence. Yeah, like they born with that, right?
Yeah.
So Willie was a guy, man, that told me this, and it held true throughout my career with Ben. He's like, hey, young fella, Razor is what he called me from Razor Ramon, the wrestler, Scott Hall. So he, all right, Razor, we going in here, okay? You blocking for 7. If you think I think Dennis Dixon was in at that time. He was like, if you think you've blocked long, block longer. And then after that, block even longer because there's a play to be made there. And it's just a mindset of just being in a spot to where this is serious now.
Yeah.
This ain't just practice no more. This ain't college. I can lose my job too if I perform bad. Like I'm trying to set up for the future in these games I'm about to play. And that was probably one of my biggest welcome to the league moments right there. Being on the road in Baltimore, having that crowd and understanding too, this is a different type of physical. I thought Alabama-Tennessee was serious.
Because Baltimore, both of y'all are known for like defense of people, always drafting those hard-nosed type of guys. Just
and
clash.
And I think we drafted according to what the other one did too. We go get a center, they go get a nose tackle. We go get a wide receiver, they go get a DB. Like it was that type of game. And at the time, Ray Lewis, I never forget playing against him. Hitting him for the first time. I caught him on the back end, so he wasn't crazy physical, but just actually hitting Ray Lewis was by far just like, wow, this happened. And he didn't pay me no mind. Hit me and shedded me real quick. You know what I'm saying? But it was really cool to be a part of that series. And the history of that series, to show you the level of competition, are always judged by a matter of 3 points. The average of the wins and losses in those games is 3 points or less.
That's how you know.
That's how you know it's good on good. But Terrell Suggs, Haloti Ngata, Ed Reed. Come on, man. Just Hall of Fame after Hall of Fame, and to share a field with those dudes in a rivalry like that. That's one I will say, as crazy as it was, at the end of the game, the level of respect was just top tier.
It's always like that.
Against the good team.
Yeah. It's like that. When it's like, you going against another dog. Yeah. And it can be all animosity before the game. It's for sure during the game. But after that's okay. You gave me your best, I gave you my best. Respect.
And that's the thing about it. I think a lot of fans don't understand it at times too. Like you can still be cool when it's good on good like that. Like, I'm gonna hate the heck out of you whenever we going against each other. But the pureness of what that game was and still is to this day is what football is to me.
Man, your first, so you end up going to the Super Bowl in your second season. In your second season, some people never make it. Ever. Hall of Fame guys, some don't make it.
Dan Marino.
And you made it in your second season. Started in the game.
Yeah.
It's the Green Bay Packers.
Against the Packers. That's when Aaron Rodgers turned into him.
Okay?
Him and Jordy Nelson put on some like to say a masterclass into touch, route running, and scoring. Jordy Nelson became a dude, and so did Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
We ended up losing that one, but I'll tell you this, the lead up to it, I see why, to your point, guys chase that Super Bowl. I see why it's the biggest event in America.
It is.
As far as sports go. I see why dudes travel from team to team, and I also see why it's hard too. The feeling that you get of being part of that small window is they treat you exactly as you think you are supposed to be. I was a second-year guy. They had a loaner car out there for me. Walk in the room, I was a Nike athlete. Nike sent this big old duffel bag of just gear and shoes.
First class everything.
UGG had just come onto the scene, so they sent us embroidered Super Bowl like UGG boots and stuff because it was cold in Dallas that year. Just everything that you can imagine, the lead up to trying to find the tickets for the families, and oh my gosh. But playing in that game, I didn't catch my breath probably until like in another first quarter, just because I was so hyped, because the event's so big. The flashes of the cameras was out of this world, and just realizing this is the game. It's probably Game 7 of MLB, right? World Series.
Not even.
Not because there's too many other opportunities.
Yeah, not even. This is one game.
It was
100 million people watching.
Insanely good, and we was in it till we weren't. Man, I felt like, and I had somebody say this recently. I agree with them. It felt like it was our game to lose, but we stayed close enough to think we were going to win it. That's how it went. But immediately after the game, I'll never forget saying this, watching that confetti come down. It's like, I'll be back. I never went back. It's
enjoy the moment.
You have yes.
Yeah, enjoy the moment.
Or when you have good teams, enjoy those wins, because to your point, I've seen people be 12, 13, 14 years in and never be on a team that actually get to go to the game. And you think it's easy, but the wrong injury, the wrong suspension, the wrong interception, the wrong fumble can derail it. And now, well, in my era, it had Tom Brady. Just he on the AFC side. So they were just that good. And now looking in this era for the teams that's trying to get to it, you got Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
You get two GOAT guys right after one another. So the fight becomes harder. But we had some strong teams in Pittsburgh. At one point in time, we were averaging like 31 points a game.
God.
And still didn't make the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's wild.
You see what I'm saying? So that's
wild.
how fine the line is between Super Bowl and not. Like, you average 31 points a game and still don't make it with a team that had Martavis Bryant, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. We had one of the best offensive lines. You got a Hall of Fame quarterback. You got a Pro Bowl tight end. Everything you needed was filled, except defensively we gave up just a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or you have a team that was a matchup nightmare like the Jacksonville Jaguars. That's when they had Calais Campbell and Malik Jackson and Jalen Ramsey all on that defense with Blake Bortles at quarterback. And they beat you.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's fans of sports and athletes who will watch this. Treasure every single moment of the ride. Because I said in year 2, I'm going back and never did.
What's the – it's not even on here, man, but what separates the teams that you've been on, talking about the year that you went to the Super Bowl, what was different about that team than the other 10 teams?
Oh, great question. Nobody's ever actually asked that one. No major injuries first.
Okay.
Defense does win championships.
Okay.
That defense was coming off a historic run in 2007, 8, 9, 10, and even 11. As many points as we were scoring in those later years when our offense got good, the defense was almost giving up that.
Yeah.
Defense forever wins championships. Injuries matter. And I'm going to be real with you. The one that you can't count on, a little bit of luck.
A little bit of luck, yeah.
Because that 2010 season, man, Baltimore had us beat at home. You can go back and look at the clip of it. It's somewhere to be found. There was a live ball in the playoff game. Might have been in the divisional round. A live football in the divisional game. I walked past it. Another one of my teammates walked past it. And there was numerous dudes that walked past the ball, a live ball on the ground, and didn't know it. Thought I heard a whistle. We all thought we did. And the refs just looking around like,
all right.
And one of Baltimore's defensive linemen picked it up and ran in for a touchdown. We should have probably lost that game. So when I said a little bit of luck, we had just enough time to make a game-winning drive to beat Baltimore at home. And the next week we ended up playing New York Jets. That's the Bart Scott can't wait drop. And he was, can't wait. He was talking about coming to Pittsburgh playing us. And you know what's so sick about that is? He wasn't even talking about us. We used him saying can't wait to come to Pittsburgh as fuel to the fire.
Yeah, you need a little something.
He wasn't even talking about us. I think it was Sal Palantonio. It's like, see you in Pittsburgh next week. And he just simply said, can't wait. And that's all we needed. We said that all week long. Like,
can't wait.
Can't wait. Yeah,
can't wait.
You find that little motivation.
Yeah.
But luck, need the right type of injuries, and defense.
What about locker room? Because I look at my 4 years at Vandy, all good teams, all good players, even some of the more talented teams, we didn't make it to Omaha. But I look at that 2019 year, and it was the leadership from the top. It was the locker room, the chemistry, and the fact that Corbs didn't have to raise his voice but one time all fall leading up to the spring. He didn't say, one time.
Yeah.
So it was all seniors and juniors leading the way, and that locker room was on point. Nobody got in trouble off the field. No mishaps. Like, everything was where it needed to be.
Yeah.
And so I think it's the locker room that separates. I think that wins championship. I think it's a part of it.
No, you add that into the pot too.
Yeah.
That year we had a lot of veteran dudes.
Yes.
A lot of respected dudes too.
That's key.
Yes,
that's
a lot
key.
of respect.
You can be a veteran and like, come on, dog.
Twirling your thumb with the rookies. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So Ryan Clark, Troy Polamalu, Casey Hampton, Brett Kiesel, Lamar Woolley is a young vet at the time, James Ferrier, like a lot of respect. Ike Taylor, a lot of respected veterans, defensively too.
Yeah.
That led the way. Ben was still, what was he, Ben at the time? 5-6 years in. The O-line was relatively young. The offense was younger at the time. In respect of, like you said, Coach Tomlin's message going to those guys. Those guys, honestly, probably set that message.
Yeah.
Because in that era, you had to talk to your teammates. Is another thing. And I'm sure y'all communication in 19 was
superb.
You wanted to be around each other.
Yeah, yes.
And that's what we were doing, hanging around the locker room. Guys going out together.
Yes.
Those rookie parties were collectively together. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And if we were going out, hey, call so-and-so. Call so. That did matter. There's a level of transparency when it comes down to how you go out, who you hanging with, and the expectation, like you said, being out in public too. And just the locker room. Nobody had to police anybody that year. It was just business as usual every single day. Practice went hard, but guys knew where the line was also. There is a level of challenge. One thing I remember them dudes doing all the time was, especially defensive side of it, as they've been there before. And the reason why they won it a few times, well, in 05 was, 08. Every interception they got in practice ran into the end zone. Just creating a habit of what you wanted to transpire in a game. And I think some people take that little small stuff for granted, but that locker room culture does matter. Nobody had egos, but it was player-led.
Yes.
That is such a crucial part you bring up right there.
100%, man. What was it like playing with a Hall of Fame quarterback in Big Ben, as y'all call him, Seven? playing alongside him, in the huddle with him, in the practice with him, locker room, just his leadership style, just the whole shebang.
You ever met somebody, man, that whether you're playing basketball in a garbage can, ping pong, cards, throwing darts, that they just win?
I have one person in mind right now who
that was Ben.
Yeah.
That ability to just win was huge. He led with a watch me play type of mode. You know, like those types of dudes. Wasn't real rah-rah. You know, most quarterbacks would be, it's going to be real pointed. It ain't yelling at you or nothing like that. So when you went out there and you battled with him and you saw him either get his ribs hit, referees never really call, I thought, roughing the passes on him.
Because he's big.
Yeah. And he been, you know? So knowing that you had to battle for him because he wasn't going to get those types of calls made you want to grind harder. Like I said, that mindset that I was told as a young rookie, when you think you've blocked long, block longer, because he's always going to make a play. That's something that I think we got used to. That's something I think that fan base in Pittsburgh is adjusting to now, because you knew you had that Hall of Fame guy that can come out of the locker room after having his ankle twisted, having batteries thrown at him in Cincinnati because he's coming back on the field when he was hurt to help you win a game. Walking into stadiums had a different vibe when we had him. So if he was out for a game or injured, I would feel it. The opposing defense would make us feel it.
Presence missed. So he was the blanket that I think Pittsburgh didn't realize they had, but they did, because you're always trying to search for a new guy, you know? Yeah. But it was cool. It took me a while to get used to, just on the fact that, of course, family members and friends, how it's been, you know? And I'll be the first to tell you, you probably would too. The guy he was when I first came in isn't the guy he was when I left and he left. Saw him grow, saw him get married, have kids. Attitude somewhat changed. I ain't gonna say changed, but like watching them just be different and try to grow with the younger guys. But the era that he came in was way different than the era we played in, as far as being after him, and just watching that adjustment somewhat lead itself into a different world for him. And he adjusted well. He's a walking gold jacket as it stands right now. But I never took it for granted, for sure. Is there what's the in-game moment that you will remember in the NFL-wise? This in-game moment, playoff, regular season, no matter what it is, this in-game moment.
It would probably be that 2010 season.
Yeah.
was playing against actually a Vol, Sean Ellis. Sean Ellis is his name. Played for the Jets. He was an older veteran at the time and stuff like that. I used to call him Big Cat. I always heard of him at Tennessee. Always heard of him at Tennessee. Big Cat is what they call him. But I realized how important film was. I think the week before we played, and somebody beat me in an up and under. Beat me underneath me real quick. And about the third play in the game we were playing them, he hit me with the same move. And I stopped it. And I said, oh, you've been watching film, huh? He was like, I'm supposed to. You got beat on this last. Just the exchange of information was probably one of my biggest aha moments in the NFL, because I realized that's how you're able to stay in the league for that long. You know, everybody's athletic ability is somewhat the same. It's the cerebral parts that takes you over the edge.
I was going to ask you that. Well, how do you play 11 years, brother, in the NFL? I mean, you said that the longevity is maybe 2 years now, 3 years, you know? So, like, you make it to year 11, that's taking care of your body. That's taking care of off-the-field stuff. That's a lot that goes into it.
And then the most important one is availability. Never had no major injury. That played a huge into it. Availability and consistency. A coach walking in each day, each week, each game, each year needs to know, I'm going to get this from Ramon. I'm going to get this from Kiambu. Like, I know this. Whether he goes down or up depends on the day. But I know I'm going to get this every single time consistent.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind. How do you make it 11 years other than the consistency and just the luck of it sometimes too, is the work you put in. I'm a firm believer that you get out what you put into something. If you work at it, it's gonna come back to you.
Yes.
It might not be first game of the season. It might be the fourth or fifth one, but all that work is gonna come back to you. And then, of course, being mentally strong enough to sustain it too. Like, there were guys drafted in 2010, 2011, 2012, 13, and 14 at my position, right? Like I said, the NFL is a getting better or getting worse league. So they got to go find other guys. I partied with a dude they drafted with in Vegas with me. I ain't afraid of it. Come on, I'm going to show you the ropes. Yeah. Accepting those challenges and realizing it's not personal. The year after the Super Bowl, 2 years after the Super Bowl, I'm playing right guard. And immediately after that, they draft a first-round guard. Had only played on the right side. That's my position.
Yeah.
The dude that left had just gotten paid. Right? And I knew he was going to play right guard, David DeCastro, who was out of Stanford. And in that moment right there, I was like, all right, I can meet this face first, or I'm probably going to be out of the league or be in a reserve role. I love starting. I love starting, okay? Hearing my name being called, knowing my graphics on the TV, you know that feeling.
Come on.
And lo and behold, we have a scrimmage, dog. The first rounder, they say, did really good. The dude that played left guard did well too. But you know what's crazy? How what's for you is for you. What's crazy is I got bumped out and we had a preseason game in Buffalo. I'll never forget. And that week right there, the first rounder who they put in front of me, they had partially torn his ACL. And this was like week 3, which is dress rehearsal. Ramon, you in. And I could have been snotty about it, snobby about it and just, whatever. Like, I'll go and do my job. But I'm like, I ain't going to take this personal. It's a business.
Yeah.
Again, I told you, mental toughness is a talent too. And I was just like, let's go. So he's out for, I think, like 10, 12 weeks. So it's my spot. Now, what's crazy, when he's slated to come back, because he's the first rounder, he's healthy. The dude on the left side, Willie Colon, who's my mentor.
Yeah.
Tear his pec or Achilles. It was one of them.
Dang.
He's out of left guard, so I had to adjust and move to left guard. It was my spot for the next 8 years.
Oh. Yeah.
So I could have been somber. I could have been very melancholy about it. But I took it for what it was and understood, look, oatmeal is better than no meal. You know what I'm saying?
I like that.
I could be upset about this, or I can just grab the bull by the horns. And mind you, too, that year was my tender year also. Like, I was up for a new contract.
Yeah.
So I finished out the season, ended up getting my second deal, Bought my first house with that one.
Hello.
Rest is history.
Hello.
So
man, I was gonna ask, man, just you being a starting offensive lineman in that Super Bowl, and then come up the next year and still having to compete for a starting role, and I think that goes to just positions are rented. You can say that. Since they're rented, and so you constantly having to, just those first 3 years at least, just having to compete every training camp.
And even after that, so those first 3 years, that happens. And like I said, I end up getting that deal. And just, that was probably my first time of being able to breathe. Like, okay. Yeah. And I can
Show's
breathe.
getting a little light. Yeah.
What was crazy, having to follow that deal up and the next year, because they always going to draft at a position.
Right.
And to get cheaper at all times. And like I said, they ended up drafting the dude 1 year that was from Tennessee. I had to fight him off. He ended up making the team at a different position. But that type of stuff happens. And Kiambu was fascinating now. This is happening in college.
Yes.
I always try to pass that on to like the young cats. Be like, y'all in a different space. Y'all are competing for roster spots because of the portal. Because of your NIL might be too expensive and you ain't paid. You ain't had an ROI on it, right? Never take it personally. I never did either. Is there times I probably thought, I should have made a Pro Bowl this year? Yes. Was there times I thought, man, I probably could have got an extra $5 to $7 million on this one? But grind it. Give me more years. Let me keep rolling. It's a mindset that you will not be denied. I take that approach to doing my show on the radio. I take that approach with my kids. I take that approach in life. If there isn't just a sliver of light somewhere, I'm going to kick the door in.
Kick that thing down. What's been the biggest transition post-career? And kind of what went into, hey, it's time for me to hang these cleats up?
Transitioning when to hang the cleats up. Let's go to hang the cleats up.
Yeah.
That one right there for me was end of that 2019 season, so it would be 2020. The last 3 years of my career, everybody I played with here in the city, in Nashville, was either done or they had been done for a while. So off-season training got harder and harder. Okay, plus age, playing a physical position like guard, played a lot into it. So in the summers, dog, I was talking so much cash money to my trainer, cursing him out, talking bad, he giving it back. So of course,
it's good.
Just self-motivating, right? And then my wife would come out there. Then my brother Ron would come out there. Then my brother-in-law would come out there. And then I'm having some young cats that he trains that go to, smaller colleges and stuff like that are in the area, train with me too. So the training became harder, right? As far as getting ready for the season, that played a factor into it. And just the recovery aspect of it, my rookie year, I'd be ready to go back to practice on a Tuesday after a game. Like, let's go. Wednesday, we're ready to go.
Good.
By year 8, 9, 10, and 11, by year 11, it was like Saturday before the game. Like, finally feel back normal, you know? Like, golly, that's massage, that's care. Everything, cold tub, all that type of stuff. When recovery got to Friday night, Saturday, or later in the season, Sunday, I was like, I don't know about this, but to gear back up as a solo trainee, right? To come back here, lifting all kind of weights, I was just like, okay, we might be closer to done than we are going to play more years. So I was okay with that. And what's fascinating, at the end of the 2019 season, we were in Baltimore, we ended up losing that game. And I knew my left tackle was going to play more. He was younger than me and stuff like that. I dapped him up and gave him a hug. Like, man, this has been real. Like, I knew.
Dang.
I knew. You feel me? And lucky for me, the time there was time to retire and me not seeking out more years, I retired, I think, March 3rd, 6th, or 10th, something like that. The next week, COVID hit. So everything was shut down. So I'll never forget the phone call with Coach Tomlin, Mr. Rooney, Kevin Colbert, Omar, those guys in the front office of Pittsburgh. And after playing so long, and you know how it is as an athlete, even when you're sleeping during the season, you're still thinking about it.
Yes.
You're never off.
Still thinking about it.
You know what I'm saying? Look, you're never off. That sports anxiety, right? It's kind of what I somewhat call it. just being able to sleep or just feeling that pressure, like, okay, training's coming up.
Yeah.
Or, man, I'm going on vacation, but I got only 2 days. I got to go work out somewhere. Just all of that pressure left when I got off the phone. I was like, and I told my wife and kids, I was like, I feel like I'm able to breathe. Like it legitimately felt like a weight off of me. Like, and that's why I knew I made the right decision. And what's crazy, you speak about the transition. COVID hits. I know I was going to do something in the sports media where I did that broadcasting and sports journalism boot camp in the NFL. I was always super friendly with the media because nobody else wanted to talk. I ended up winning the Chief Award, which is the Steelers Best in Media award for the team. So I had all of that. Had my radio show in Pittsburgh. Also, the Ramon Foster show, I used to do that every Tuesday. It was a Steelers show. Got paid for that. Okay. I was like, this is kind of cool. I can do an hour show a week. So I was already setting up little breadcrumbs along the way to kind of revisit. And those guys said, Ramon, you're good at this type of stuff. So I knew I was going to go do that in some capacity. I didn't know it would be ESPN. I didn't know if it was going to be a big network or what I would be doing, but I knew I had interest in it. That transition happened quick after COVID. When COVID hit, I was actually planning on taking a year off just to gather, drop weight, spend time with family, do all this type of stuff. I get a call from a guy in like early June, maybe July. It's like, hey, station here on 104.5 is talking about making some changes. I want to put your name in the hat if you want me to. Yeah, sure, go ahead. Mind you, I got another call from another station. They wanted to interview me. So I guess everybody's going through these changes during COVID. And then I had another job opportunity in the sales world.
Hey.
When
it rains, it pours, brother.
Okay, so this is why I always tell guys too, show your personality, shake hands, keep those cards, email people back, because you never know who's going to tap into you, right? So I had like 3 things lined up, and I really wanted the sales job because it was in like sports marketing or sports and gaming, which is huge in sports, right? So I wanted that, and I was interviewing for that. I was about to go to the second phase of interviews for that. The radio station calls, go interview for that, meet with the guys that was hosting on the show, and they sent an offer. And then I was about to do the second round of interviews with the sales. And me and my wife talking to her, I was like, what you think? She's like, well, you've done this. You're good at this. I think you should do the radio. And that's what I ended up doing. So that transition for me was somewhat seamless, quicker than I thought it was going to happen too. I always say, what's for you is for you. Yeah. So receive it and move forward with it. And it's been fun. It's been an adjustment, but it's the same process I had going into radio and doing podcasts that I had in sports too. I was like, I ain't going to halfway do this. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to go in with it. And that's been my approach to it too. The people that I work with, like, we're going to grind. We're going to try to have the best ratings. We're going to have the best show. And in sports, nobody cares about your feelings when you perform publicly. So when we walk through the studio doors, whatever you had on the other side of that door, leave it, because we came here to provide a service to the people who listen to us.
I like that. Man, we're about to close this thing out. I'm gonna do this thing called Invited to Dinner, okay? Give me 3 coaches. You going to whatever restaurant you want to go to, and you get to invite 3 coaches to this dinner. Who are those coaches?
Give me a soul food spot, because steakhouse is gonna be kind of stuffy.
Okay, we go soul food.
Yeah, we go soul food. That way we can at least be casual. It's informal.
Keep it light.
Yeah.
College, pro, any sport, don't matter.
All right, for sure. Nick Saban.
Yes,
he's number 1 on that list. Let me figure him out. Have a conversation with him. I think Doc Rivers.
Okay.
Basketball.
Okay.
And give me one more coach would have to be Pat Summitt, if I could.
I like that. I like that.
Those 3 right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then our second edition, Just give me your players, 3 players.
3 players?
Across any sport.
Across any sport.
Basketball, golf, tennis. Tiger Woods.
First.
He got to be on that.
Because, again, I'm a cerebral guy, so mentally.
Yeah.
How did you not say a word and make your opponent crumble? You didn't, like, you heard about how you used to not stare at guys while they're putting and they just crumble just by his presence. What did that feel like? Why? Give me Serena.
Goats.
How to do it in that way.
For 19 years, I think.
19 years to crush it and do it in a way to where she yelled. She made people fear her. That serve was just untouchable. And so Tiger, Serena, and Kevin Garnett. I almost put Allen Iverson in there because of his size.
Yeah.
But Kevin Garnett messed with people mentally too.
I like Garnett. He's a good storyteller too.
And that's why also. Yeah.
He a good storyteller.
Tiger, Serena, and KG.
Okay.
Coming out of high school, the story to make it, the trash talking. Oh my God, I was a filthy trash talker myself.
Ooh, I like that. I'm on that type of energy.
Because I knew that if I can get you going, I got you. And if I got you going and you off your game, my play is the setup to get you talking. Because and there's the other side of it too. I play offense. I can pace myself.
Right.
You play defense. You gonna get tired. And if you talking to me, you're gonna be more tired.
Yeah.
Then if you're more tired, then you can't focus. So that's why.
Man, last thing, you might have mentioned it already, but just D tackles or defensive end you've had to face in the NFL. 2, 3 of them, don't matter how many, just ones that you enjoyed the matchup.
Geno Atkins at Cincinnati. I didn't play him at Georgia. And truthfully didn't know a lot about him because I was a tackle. He was a D tackle. So I saw their D ends. Geno Atkins, Haloti Ngata, Baltimore Raven. And the other one would have to be Malik Jackson. Actually played at Tennessee after me. Only reason I bring him up is, no, not Malik, Calais Campbell. Ooh. They were both on the same squad. Calais Campbell.
I like that.
Big, tall, long arm dude. Long arm dudes gave me issues because my arms were long and that was my advantage, is I could always grab you. So Calais is like 6'8", arms probably 36 inches long for no reason. God. You feel me?
He Miami guy too, though.
Exactly. He's a U guy. But his story is fascinating. He came out, I think, as a tight end, or he was only like 220 before going to the U.
That's crazy.
And then he's like a 300-pounder now, just crazy. Those 3 are my dudes.
I like that. All right, man. In true fashion, leave a question for the next guest.
I've been thinking about this.
Yeah, leave a question for the next guest. It's going to be an athlete or somebody in the athletic realm, but it's a coach, agent, executive, anybody in the athletic space.
Anybody in the athletic space. Since we have the involvement of NIL now, I'd like to ask if you are that type of player, and I'm going to assume they are. If they don't say they are anyway.
Okay.
A 6-figure guy. How do you balance your money, family, and day-to-day social life now?
I like that.
If you are let's even put a figure on it. If you're getting $350,000 a year, because you're pre-pro at that point.
Yeah.
$350,000 a year NIL. How do you balance family, your social life, and how do you save?
All right. There it is. I appreciate it, brother.
Man, anytime I told you, I was waiting on it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. We should get Ramon Foster. I'm like, let's do it. Come on, let's do it. Yeah, man.
I thought y'all was gonna have more baseball stuff for me today.
Nah,
y'all
man.
world is different.
Yeah.
Baseball is different. It's because it's more sometimes than straight athletic ability. It can be very skill oriented.
It's very skill oriented.
Yes.
I think it's one of the most skill oriented sports.
Yes.
I don't want to disrespect this by saying by far, but it is. I think that and like golf and
probably tennis.
Tennis. I'll give it tennis as well. But I just think just being an athlete.
Yeah.
you can get away with playing most sports.
You can.
But I think baseball is a very much a highly skill-based sport.
It is.
100%.
And I'm learning. Boy, I'm learning. That is my next. I was talking to one of my mentors the other day. What is your next phase of challenge for your life?
Yeah.
And that was management of my expectations, emotions of being a father for kids who, I got a freshman now.
Yeah.
What does that look like? Because I can't do anything for him other than facilitate.
Yeah.
So tapering my drive that I naturally have into fatherhood, I think that's a super unique thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Where can people find you, man? Instagram, all that type of stuff.
I got 2 Twitters. One is I'm locked out of because Elon won't let me back in because I didn't do 2-factor authentication. If you know somebody, send them my way to give me my old account, but it's got like 80,000 people. But that one's, I know, dog, tripping.
Dang.
My new active one is at the Ramon Foster on X or Twitter, and my Instagram is also at the Ramon Foster too. Okay. Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. I have a radio show here in Nashville, 104.5 The Zone, Ramon Kayla Will. Also do a Pittsburgh podcast, the Ramon Foster Show. I think that's all my socials. Yeah. All
right, brother. That's it, man. It's been a pleasure. Like, comment, subscribe, all that. Check out all the stuff that he mentioned and whatnot. All my baseball people, that glove right there, code is 2%. Valley Training Mitts, okay? Get 10% off on that. And yeah, that's it.
Appreciate you, man.
Sir. All right. We out. Deuces.